Where should we start?
Where should we start?
Creatine or keto?
Your protein or your creatine? I'm dead. Okay, so we're testing.
Testing.
Hello.
So excited. Hello.
Do you have a drink?
Do you need a... Well, I had a Diet Coke, but that makes you burp, so I'm going to not drink that. I realized that after I opened it, I was like, oh yeah, I don't want like a fizzy drink while I'm doing this.
That's a good idea. I don't know if I want to drink.
Alcohol.
Some wine? Yeah, should we pour some wine? Let's do it. I'm going to show up to Bub's school like, hey guys.
Hey, what's up?
Beautiful.
Delish. Is this what we had last night? Or I had last night? Oh, you can hear it?
I got it to the echo.
Okay.
Okay. I don't trust myself with liquids, so I'm just going to hold this way over here.
Yes.
All right. Okay, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
Cheers.
Yay, cheers.
To friends.
To friends.
Welcome to Ironically Serious, Mikayla. For the second time, and I actually did look it up. It was 2022.
Oh my gosh.
Which would be 3 years
now.
this year.
Wow. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, and we've been friends for...
I've had 2 children since I've been on the podcast.
I've had none, thank God. Although you're kind of changing my mind about it because I think, I don't know, my ovaries are screaming. They have been, though, for a while.
Rune has that effect on people.
But I won't lie, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep is now part of my personality. And I don't think I could go back to that life.
Maybe you can get a night nanny.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the nannies. A night nanny, a day nanny, a weekend nanny.
I know. It is hard, but it's worth it.
Yeah, because right now you're in a season of life where your kids are your whole life.
Yes.
How's that been?
It's overwhelming, and it's not like it's not a place that I am at. Like, if you would have told me that I'd be here like 5 years ago, I would have like never believed you. I feel like a completely different person than I thought I would be as like a teen or young adult. And so it's all new for me. I feel like I'm really figuring it out as it's happening to me, but so much has happened so quickly that I just find myself like, I'm a mom, and I'm a mom of 6. I've lost a child. So I have 5 kids at home, and I'm like trying to figure out what motherhood looks like for me and like who I am, and like coming into just trying to figure out who I am, what kind of mom I am, what kind of woman I am. I feel like so young, and yet I feel like I should be more like further along in my maturity as a woman and mother because of how much life has been crammed into a very short amount of time. Yeah. So I'm trying to like catch up, and I feel like I'm trying to like learn so much, but it's happening as I'm learning. So I'm like, I can't catch up to this. So yeah, it's been interesting.
Wait, how old are you again?
32.
32. I don't know why I was saying 34.
Am I 32?
32?
Am I 32?
Because you just had a birthday in December. December 10th, right?
Yes.
Because your birthday's 2 days after Josh's. Wait, you're 32? Then y'all are the same age.
Yes, yeah.
You're 2 days apart.
We're 2 days apart?
Yes. 1992?
Yeah.
Yeah, December 8th.
Okay, yeah. We literally, that's so funny. I didn't know that he was 2 days behind me. That's crazy.
I thought maybe one of you were older. But y'all are, that's
literally
nuts.
the same age.
That makes so much sense why we get along.
Yes. Yeah. You're like, I love you. You're my female version of my spouse.
Pretty much. I mean, out of all the people I talk to, especially friends, I probably talked to the absolute most when I told Addie that you were coming. And I said, I haven't seen this friend in 3 years, but I talked to her almost every day. And she was just like, what?
I know.
Because she was like, who's coming? And I said, Mikayla. And she said, I don't know a Mikayla. And I'm like, yeah, because I haven't seen her in 3 years.
Yeah.
But I talk to you more than I talk to a lot of the people I see. And also I talk to you about way more deep things. And I feel most friends, it's very superficial. Or you say things, but then it kind of, the conversation ends with certain people, you know, like, oh, I'm here, let me tell you about my life.
Or you have your work friends, or you have your gym friends, or you have like your like you can talk about certain things with certain people. But I feel like we like cover so much ground. And every time we talk and voice memo each other 20-minute voice memos.
Yeah.
Back and forth. We talk about everything. So
We basically have a podcast in our text.
yes, we could probably publish those someday. If I die, you can do that if you want.
Don't say that.
Like, here's Mikayla's conversations that we've had.
All of her deepest, darkest, not really, but some of them.
Yeah.
I will say I've been on the up and up. Anytime you have been pregnant or anything,
I'm always like,
no one
you
knows.
first.
And I'm like, yes, okay, I'm in.
Yes, you're like, oh, I know. Yeah. Last time I was on your podcast, I don't remember if we talked about me being pregnant with Reverie.
Yeah.
Or if I just didn't want to mention it because I hadn't told anyone yet.
You were pregnant and you had told me, but I don't know if we talked about it. But I remember being just shocked and wow.
Yeah. And then like immediately again. And then happening again.
Yeah. But no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Mikayla was my first ever client that I had as a virtual assistant, which is crazy to think back now just because I feel like you, even though your side of the story was I really needed a VA and I came in and it was magical. But for me, I was like, I can't believe you trusted me because I didn't have a website. I had never worked with anybody. I literally just posted in that Facebook group, whatever it was.
You look good. Let's go.
Yeah. And then you just handed me money. And I told Josh at the time I was pregnant with Bub. And I was like, this girl just paid me. And I'm like sitting there in your inbox and you're like, here you go. Here's the keys to my entire business.
Like, you want my passwords to everything? Like, yeah, it honestly, I feel like God's hand was in that because I don't think I would have gone through the trouble of finding someone else if it wasn't a good fit because I'd never done a hire before. And I was so like at my wit's end of trying to keep my business afloat because I was so busy and I was a mom and like, it was my first time of like going out on a limb and trying to like get a team so I could start doing more and like just like outsource my business. And I was just like, please let this work. And then it ended up being like, you were literally the puzzle piece that I was missing. And it was just like, it was magic. It was such a relief for me. And it was a good thing for you. I'm glad it was like for both of us, it was just, it ended up being like the best fit for that season. And then you stayed with me for far too long, but I was like, please don't leave me. I'll die without you. You were I am the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company now, but I'm still your VA because I love you.
No. But I mean, it was also one of those things where I knew your business so well. It didn't feel like at that point when I started moving away from virtual assistant clients and I had broken up with like everyone but you. Yes. And I say broken up, like, okay,
yeah, I've moved on to bigger and better things.
Yeah. But your business, it was just like, this is my business now. So
yes, honestly, I was so thankful that it ended up being like not such a burden on you because I could not have, there was so many, like I would not still probably be in business had you left me like at any point in time because I have never had like the ability to train some like the time and energy to throw into it and I just kind of like went on a limb and you had all the skill sets that I needed and then like our personalities melded well together and you just like saw the vision, executed stuff and it just was a dream come true. So yeah.
Well, I think it also speaks to people who are super scared to start something like a VA business or whatever, but you have the skills and sometimes you just have to kind of fake it till you make it, like learn as you grow. And not that I lied to you or anything, but I was like, here's what I know. I've never worked with anyone. I'm like stepping into this. I don't even know how I pitched it to you, but basically I'm looking for a side hustle and I'm, a previous photographer. And then I just kind of literally with everything I did with you, I just learned. You're the reason I even found Dubsado. Remember? Really? Because you wanted to switch from Sprout.
Yes, that's right. And I made you switch me. Yes. I was like, you got to learn this program because I don't know how to do it either. So you got to.
Yeah, you're the reason my entire business exists.
Oh, well, cheers. You're welcome. I should take a cut. I'm just kidding.
Part of my Dubsado affiliates.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm glad that all happened and that it like ended up the way that it did and you've had major success and I love watching your business grow and it's been fun. It's been a fun journey being friends far away from each other, finally in person.
I know.
Didn't we try to do a podcast? We were going to record when you came to me a couple of times and then
just
we got
fucked up.
Yeah. Well,
So that was because the first time I visited you was with Bub. And that was when you hosted your workshop for the first time.
Yes.
And you flew me out and I stayed with you for a couple days.
You helped me plan that workshop, do all of that. And then we actually had it.
It was
you
great.
Stayed with me and then we like had a successful workshop. You flew back and then you came the next year. Cause I had Valor. Mm-hmm. It was like a year later, we were planning another workshop and then
I came out and we did the photos and
like the marketing side for creating like content for launching that workshop.
Which people had bought tickets, right?
Not yet, because we were launching and then people bought tickets after we launched because we needed photos for the website. And then you quickly like threw the website together after you left. Mm-hmm. And then we sold tickets. And then like a month later, I was like, I have to cancel. And we need to like refund everyone. And you were like, what the hell? And I was like, I don't know why, but I just like, I'm not feeling like I should be doing, like I need to be doing this. That was so weird. That was so weird. Providential. Like, because then Valor ended up passing like what, I think I like pulled out in July or August.
A couple months before.
And then he passed away in September. Yep. And then the workshop would have been in November, I think. Right?
Yeah, like October, end of October, I think beginning of November or something like that.
And it ended up being like, wow, thank God we didn't have like $40,000 to refund all these attendees that like now we're no longer able to like host this. So it ended up working out, but that was crazy.
It was crazy because you were I was like, okay, something in you was definitely telling you. And it was so evident to me because you felt very firmly about it. So I wasn't even mad or upset or anything because I was like, you wouldn't be saying that if it wasn't something you really felt you needed to do. Mm-hmm. And then that was when you really described your season of pruning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which you talked about, I think, in the last episode. But looking back, how do you feel about that? Like that leading up to everything, was it almost like a good thing, the way that you almost started pulling back? So that way when things did drop the way they did, you weren't completely like left stranded in the business and this workshop and all these things. I mean, it was nuts.
I honestly feel like it was as if like the Lord went before me and like kind of pruned things and took things from me and pivoted things and like started pivoting my heart too, where everything started shifting before he passed even. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, once he did, it was like everything was already kind of set up like so that we didn't like totally just drown, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know. It was like a good thing that everything happened the way that it did. And I feel like, I don't know. I have no explanation for why it all happened. I'm glad that everything kind of just like was setting itself up for that like pivotal moment in my life that like everything was going to change. Like the entire landscape of my life was going to change, but I wasn't totally like taken out with it because I think had we, like went forward with like if I didn't listen to that gut feeling that I had, that conviction that I had, like if that had happened, then I'd have this reputation on the line and then I wouldn't have been able to like refund everybody. And then it would be always trying to like pay back and get like dig myself out of a hole. And instead it was just like, I had that period of time to like rest and like kind of just like be still and not do anything for like that whole year. So I could figure out like what was next, like what was I going to do after all of that,
Yeah. And because I feel at the time, like from my perspective, the workshop was it was your way to really step into education because you already were at the time coaching and doing all these things. And the first one was so successful. And you felt, at least from what I saw, is you were wanting to thrive in that space. Mm-hmm. And that it was like a light switch for you where you were like, this is not the right time for this. Or is this even where I'm trying to go kind of thing? Mm-hmm. And then when Valor did pass, I just think your mindset was already shifting before any of that happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is crazy now to see you. And I feel even more removed from it because you're so focused on your family and motherhood.
Yeah. It's wild. It's a wild change because it's the transformation has taken place in such a short amount of time that sometimes it does feel like whiplash where you're just like I look back at like, I mean, just even like photos that come up on my phone where it like reminds you like, oh, this time, a couple years ago, like here's what you were doing or whatever. And it's just like, I don't even recognize that person in the photos. Like I feel like I know her, like I remember her, but it's just, it feels like a completely different person.
Yeah.
Like I just am like, wow, so much has happened. So much ground has like been covered. So much of the landscape of our life has changed dramatically that, yeah, I am in an interesting position right now because I still feel like there's elements of that person that still exist in me because I'm not just like, I didn't wake up and just like stop being ambitious or driven or, you know, having that part of me that is like alive, but it's so different and tamed to a certain extent now to where it's like, but then there's the mother side. There's like the person that I'm trying to figure out I am that I still haven't completely, like I'm still getting to know her. Like I'm still like letting the dust settle from losing a child, having 2 subsequent pregnancies right after and like having 2 kids and like starting to homeschool and like just so much of our life is like, I never thought I would be in this position right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm like trying to figure out who I am now and like, but like the element of that person still exists and I still have passions and dreams and stuff. And I'm just like, when is there going to be a time? Like, am I going to start doing something again? Is that all like, you know, my past life and, you know,
What's done is done.
Yeah. What's done is done. It's
Well,
just,
you're
it's
still
just
business
interesting.
owner.
Yeah. I am, but definitely not in like the front seat of, you know, like being the face of a business on, you know, like showing my face on stories and like launching things and like creating like content and like being out there, like working with clients, like face to face and all of that. It's just, it's a lot different. Yeah.
Yeah. And even in that note, you and social media are so different.
Yeah.
Especially, and I haven't really talked to you about this really, I don't think ever, but I feel even from when after Valor passed, you obviously had such a voice and you had that crazy influx of followers and eyes. And some of that was such a blessing because people were donating to your GoFundMe and like to England. And like, I think the support and other moms who had been through that, I'm sure was helpful. But do you also feel like it was a burden at the same time?
I'm thankful for it because it allowed like people, like our story went semi-viral and then it allowed people to, like everyone shared our GoFundMe that was created for us and our Venmo and things like that. And so that level of like cushion that people provided for us because I had always been the main breadwinner and kind of just like the income provider for our household that I had to like fall apart and like completely just lose my mind for a while. And I had to like, I needed the space to be able to do that, but I don't think I would have been able to at all. Like I don't know what would have happened. It would have either been really bad because the pressure of like providing while not being able to grieve or mourn would have been so heavy.
Yeah.
Or I would have just been like, I can't do this at all. I'm not even going to try. And like perhaps fell into a deep depression or we would have just like been homeless. I don't know like what would have happened. But like, so to look back, I can say like, I'm so thankful that like social media, it's like a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's such good that comes from it and people can be helped and like in these tragic situations. And I feel really blessed that our story ended up that way because I've seen a lot of families who have lost children and like that's not the case all the time. Like that's not the norm where everyone just like pitches in and like does to the level that people helped our family. Like having gone through it and then seeing others like online or like afterwards, like people who have lost children, like I feel like ours was like the exception or something. Like it's not, and obviously we had never gone through that. So we didn't know like, what is the norm? What can you expect in this situation? And so, I'm so grateful that I feel like God provided in that season for us where I had to just fall apart and, I needed the space to be able to do that. And so in that way it was a blessing. On the other hand, I feel like platforms, it's such an interest, like we're in an experiment basically in society. We're like followers, platforms, like all of this, like having so many eyes on stories and it being so easy for like you just to stand basically on a stage and people are like, what do you have to say? And you're like, a lot of these accounts and people are just like normal people. They're not like an expert at something, It's not like I'm like, well, I've earned the right to talk about grief. It's like I just was thrust into this, kind of spotlight. And I just kind of worked through, like my bio says like toiling in life's garden out loud. And that's kind of what I did is I was just like kind of grieving out loud, using that as a way to write and share my writing and share about like the grief I was walking through. And it helped me feel like less alone. And so I'm really thankful for the community and people that cared and all of that. But I also feel like I didn't always do it correctly or rightly, or perhaps I put too much burden on the fact that, I was given this platform, so I need to like
show up and
use
do it
and show up. Yeah. And there's probably like, truthfully, I should have like just shut it all down and like walked away and like healed and figured out like my family and my children and, my marriage and like all of these things and just like kind of gone more inward. And I didn't do that for a while. Like it took a while to like go down that path and like the journey of like inward healing and not sharing everything out loud and not feeling like I need to show up or like people expect me to do this, or if I stop talking about him or my life or something, then I'll be irrelevant, or his story will be irrelevant, or people will forget about Valor or whatever. It can feel like a burden where you're like, I don't want to lose the momentum of people caring about my son, but I also like I'm so unhealthy. Like I need to go
and also
get some help.
It's also like you are other things other than just what you went through. Like you are so much more than just a mom who lost her son. Like that obviously is going to be a huge part of your story forever.
Right.
And it's still fresh, but like you have other children, you're a wife, you're an artist. And so I feel just from the outside looking in, I could see how it would be not easy, but you would start to associate yourself, your identity with that person and almost want to constantly, okay, how can I make sure this kind of continues?
Right.
Versus
well, it's like,
showing
I don't
the
know
other
if
side.
anybody else will want, like there was a lot of times where I was like, well, people came for me to talk about Valor or this tragedy. And so what if I don't want to talk about it right now?
Right.
Like, what if I don't want like to let you in this part of my life anymore? Or what if I like, if I start doing other things, like are people going to care? Like, are they, and I know that shouldn't matter, but you do think about those things, just to be completely honest. Like you just think this isn't all that I am. And I don't want it to always be wrapped up in this tragedy. Like, I don't want this to define me. I want to look back and like know that I still lived a full life and in spite of the loss, and that because I think I started to realize too, like since losing my child, I got kind of like connected with other people who had lost their children too. And some accounts that I started following or came to know, or somebody was like, oh, this person lost their child, you might want to like follow them. And so I would, or, they'd reach out to me or say something. And I realized like, that's all the account was like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not bashing them. I just saw that. And I was just like, I don't know I don't want this to be like a designated, like this is all I can ever talk about. I have to keep bringing it up and rehashing and opening old wounds. And like, I just have to keep talking about this forever and ever and ever. And like, it was just something that I thought about. I wanted to reach people with hope, and I wanted to reach people with like art. And like, I remembered having like a really good sense of humor before I lost Valor, and like
still do.
Months and months and months afterwards, I was like, no one even knows I'm funny. Like, this is stupid. Like, no one even knows that about me, and I'm hilarious. And like, I remember just like that was like a twinge of guilt, and then like anger and like annoyance at like where I'm like, God, like I can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody knew I liked interior design. Nobody knew like that I had any identity outside of and people who knew me did, but like, I don't know. And that stuff shouldn't matter. And that's why I'm like not as active on social media right now, because I'm trying to figure out
what
like,
actually matters for you.
What matters. And if I am going to show up in what capacity do I want that to be, and what impact do I want to make, and who am I? And I don't want to just show up to show up. I don't want to show up just because I'm like afraid of irrelevance. I don't want to show up because I feel like I need to utilize this platform because God's given it to me. I think it became an idol for me. I think it became something that, like, yes, it accomplished a lot of good. Like, a lot of people, I feel like, came to know Christ. I feel like a lot of people, like, were touched by our story, and like they were very empathetic, and it changed the way that they parented their children and how they viewed motherhood and all this stuff. And I think a lot of good came from it. But at the same time, I think my heart eventually, like, I had to like get out and like just like figure out some stuff with our family and my own walk with the Lord, and like just figure out who I am, like exactly who I am, because I don't want to just keep showing up and like just for the sake of it. You know what I mean? Like, just, and I think it's really tempting because people, especially when you get any type of platform, or if you're trying to build a platform, it's just, you can get so wrapped up in it, and your identity and your like worth and your emotions. And then you're like, you know, it's just like, it's such a time suck. You get addicted to it. It's just, you're addicted to the dopamine hit and the high of it. And like, and like when things are like, you know, going really good, then you feel really good about yourself. And when like, you know, things fall flat, or like you're not, you know, having any engagement, you feel like crap about yourself. And it's like, this is so dumb. Like, this is not, I want to be healthy enough to show up and that not affect me, because I'm showing up because I'm like answering some type of calling. Right. And I'm doing something, and I know who I am, like, positively, and none of that affects me, you know, like, and maybe that's not realistic to think it won't ever affect me. Like, I'm immune to the neuroscientists that like literally designed it to affect me.
The algorithm that's literally hooked into all of us.
I don't think I'll be immune to it, but just like knowing how to like step in and step out, like knowing how to do that really well, and not be like so caught up in the game of it, you know? Yeah.
No, that's a lot. I mean, it's a lot to go through, like that level of attention through the worst time of your life.
Yeah.
You're like, can we have had this at any other point of my life besides right now?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't know how I would react to any of that, or how I would have shown up. So, I mean, from the outside looking in, I think you did a lot with your platform. And even though you probably felt at times like, what is the point? I feel, even just reading some of the comments, sometimes people who probably never had heard someone else feeling what they had felt, like that alone, it's like, that was worth the sharing that you did. But now I think it's really cool that you have your Substack. So anyone listening, in the description is Mikayla's Substack.
Yes. Now I can write in long format, because I'm trying to like, that just like changes the chemistry of our brain, just being constantly addicted to the creating short form content like all the time, and just absorbing it and like looking at it all day and like whatever. And so the Substack is a way, because I feel like one of my gifts that I've been given is writing. And I feel like I can write so much in a, you know, what is the character count? Like 2,200 on Instagram on like a caption. So you can write a couple of paragraphs. Yeah. But like Substack really allows me the space and freedom to kind of just like let it all out and like write in long format. And it's created like community in a way where it's like, if people really care about what I want to say and the writing that I feel like God lays on my heart to put out there, that like it takes more time to read it, but those who choose to engage with it really care, or really need the message. And it's not just like another, you know, little bite-sized snack on Instagram that's, you know, with a million other things that you're consuming that day. I feel like I'm able to do something that feels a little bit more worthwhile for anything I put out there. So.
And there's a barrier for you, because it's not like someone can just double tap and heart and then swipe up DM. Oh, this is great. You know, they actually have to read it. And then what I've noticed is people that consume that type of long form content, they're not as reactive. Like I've noticed even with my own newsletter, people will occasionally send me something and be like, I've been reading forever, but they've never liked or done anything, but they've been reading it. Yeah. Whereas, you know, you post something on Instagram and you get immediate, just people who are just scrolling and engaging for whatever reason, which is fine.
It's a muscle memory. They're tapping everything.
They're just hearting and liking, and then you get that dopamine, the notification. And I feel Substack's a little bit different. It kind of sets you up.
You almost don't even know who's reading it. Exactly. Like a lot of times, like I'll like one of my most recent blogs that I wrote, it was one of my longest I ever wrote, got like 7,000 views or over, I think it was like 7,500.
Oh, wow.
Which was my top, like I'd never
On
written
Substack?
anything. Yeah, on Substack. That was like my top one. And it only got like 21 likes. So
Yeah.
like the math over there for Substack doesn't give you this like, oh, you know what I mean? Like you can see the back end.
Virality or whatever it is.
Yeah, it doesn't have that like effect. I have to go in and view the stats, and like I just get curious about it. Like I wonder how many times, this was shared or looked at or whatever, but it's like it was shared, and then I got lots of texts from people that were like, thank you so much for writing that. Like, I love it. But then they didn't even like it. You know what I mean? So like, I'm like, I know people are reading it and it's not, but I don't have to like be getting those, and I don't even get the notifications for it. I have to like get on my computer, get on substack.com, log in, do it. So it's not like, it's constantly just like a ding, ding.
That's how I feel about podcasting, because you can see your show stars and people who've rated your show, and now they have on Spotify comments. So leave a comment. Had to drop that in there, but you don't see in, real-time interaction. And so I never really know. I'm like, is this landing? And also what's weird is on most podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple, you can see the number of downloads, but I know I don't download everything. I'll stream it. So it's different. Like it'll say, okay, you got 40 downloads, but you might have had 100 plays because they're just playing it. They're not actually downloading it. So it's one of those things where I feel I put in this time, and it's a good thing. I like it because I'm not doing it for this immediate interaction, but you do kind of wonder, like, is anyone here? Is anyone listening?
Hello, echo. Yeah, I know. But it's also so good for you because it allows you that creative outlet, and you are creating something for, like, it's not immediate satisfaction. You're kind of like in it for the long game, and you kind of just trust like, hey, whoever's ears this is supposed to land on, it's gonna land on it. And like I don't have to like worry about it. I don't get constantly notified every time somebody listens to it, or it's the same thing with Substack. It's just, I think it creates a lot healthier of a relationship with me where I am at right now with my relationship with social media, where I'm like, this is a healthier avenue for me right now while I'm like trying to find my footing in motherhood. And like, I think one of the main things is like, I don't even know that I have a niche, and everyone's on, that's on social media is like, this is, you got to find your niche, and like, you got to have something to talk about like constantly. Yeah. And because I don't want to just be like the niche of child loss, because that's not my whole story. That's not God's whole story for me. And so I'm just like, let me just like step away and like figure out stuff and write on Substack.
Okay, we're back with a change of scenery. We're back. In the video, we've changed outfits completely. It is a different time of day.
Yes, it's a different day entirely.
But this has been a good test for me.
Yes.
To podcast in person.
Yes.
And not feel like a complete idiot.
It takes a little while to get used to.
Yes, hopefully I can have Josh back on, and then he'll be like, okay, wow, you actually don't suck at this.
I gotta listen to that episode at some point. You can release like uncut, embarrassing moments from me learning how to podcast.
Literally the worst episode I've ever had or done. I don't even want to watch, because we also videoed it, and I'm pretty sure my face probably was just.
I still can't.
So what is like, since yesterday in the first half of this episode, we talked, I feel like it was motherhood and the differences between where you were when we last recorded and now. Yeah. What's like something in life you're really excited about right now?
Well, we're getting ready to sell our house and move, like, so I feel like that's just like the next big thing. And it's such an unknown, since we don't have like a real clear-cut plan. Like, we don't know exactly what's happening. Like, we're kind of just walking by faith and like just getting rid of everything. And
are you getting rid of everything? Are you gonna put stuff in storage, or you're just like, whatever can't come?
There are some things that like are sentimental, or like we just like to replace it is like gonna be more expensive than just like taking it with us in a truck and stuff. But when we first started talking about this, it was like, I was like, I'm taking everything. Like, I want my home in a different place so that I can at least have some semblance of like normalcy and like, familiarity and like just whatever. And then after time, like, just because we've been wrestling with this with like for so many years that I've gotten so used to, and like I really just feel like such a detachment from all of our things. Like honestly, like I told Justice, I was like, I really would be fine if like we got into like our cars and all we had was like some clothes and Valor's urn and our kids. Like I would be okay with that. And he was like, well, I want to take, you know, some of the things in our, you know, our bedroom and stuff like that. So we'll take a little bit, but we're really like planning on just
going with it.
Yeah. What our plan is to like, once we officially, cause I've not announced this anywhere, and we are gonna, once we put our house on the market and it sells and we're under contract, we're going to have, I think we're going to probably announce to my social media platforms and stuff, if you live in Lubbock, we're going to have like a sale at our house. But I told Justice, like, I don't really want to price anything. I just want to have like a Venmo and people come and take and pay what they think it's worth or what they want.
Smart.
And that way we're not like posting like individual items and like doing the whole thing on Facebook Marketplace, like back and forth, like it's so time consuming, and then people don't show, and then you got to repost it, and then you think it's sold, and then, you know, it's just, and we have so much stuff, and it's not, none of it, I mean, most of it is just like of sentimental value. Like we got a lot of stuff like from thrift shops or secondhand or Facebook Marketplace. And so it's just, it's valuable to us because it's a part of our home, but it's not like we have these big expensive items that we're like, we need to recoup our cost on this. Right. It's just like, I mean, we have a bunch of kids. We're not like, we didn't fill our house with a bunch of expensive, nice things. Like we want people to be able to just come. And I think we're going to do like kind of like an event. We think we want to have like live music and like a food truck or something, and just house? Like, yeah, just have drinks and like fun things. And like people can just come, like say goodbye to us, kind of like if they have not gotten a chance to like see us in person or whatever, see the kids, and like, and just like take stuff. We have like a bunch of plants, like beautiful plants. We have like, you know, antiques, and like, it'll be fun. It'll be like a thrifting / say goodbye / hang out. Yeah. You know, grab a drink, some food or whatever, and just like whatever. And that's going to be like our big like thing that we do, like when we sell. And
but you won't know when that's going to be until
we're like under contracts, because we want the stuff in the house to be able to like take pictures and stage it so it looks homey when it's on the market. But then once we're in contract and we know it's like good to go and we're like, it's going to happen, we'll do that to kind of like just empty out the house as much as we can, so we don't have to deal with like packing and selling individual stuff. So it's nerve-wracking, but that's something I'm looking forward to just because it's exciting. It's a new adventure with our family, and I feel like I've been kind of like, for years now, it's been like approaching, and like I've known it was going to happen. I just didn't know exactly when or how, and I'm thankful that we were able to like put it off for a while. But now that it's happening, I'm like, I want to know what's next. And so if we can just get there, it'll feel like we've finally made it over the hump of like, okay, what now? You know,
it's almost like closing that chapter.
Yeah. It's like
when you move.
Yeah. Like it's literally like the conclusive paragraph in that chapter that feels like
it's been 1,000,000 pages long.
Literally. Like, and it's hard. Like it sounds exciting. There's also a lot of emotional stuff to work through just because it's our home. None of us have ever lived in anywhere longer than that. Like Justice and I never had like stable childhoods. We never lived in the same place throughout. Like we've lived there for over 7 years now.
The kids all have grown up there, essentially.
All grown up. All like most of my, like half of my kids have been born in that house, and then the other half like moved at a very, very young age that they barely remember living anywhere else. And we only had one other house before this. But I mean, Natalie and Beckham were like, I want to say 2 and 3 when we moved there. And so yeah, it's a lot for the kids. We're like, everyone's working through their emotions about it. But we also know like moving is not going to kill anyone. It's just the season that we feel like we're being called to. So yeah, it's exciting and nerve wracking and all the things, but
I don't know how you do it, because I could not do that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Not that I have like a lot of this stuff too, right? It's like not attachment, but it just, like you said, having your space and knowing that the space is here and being able to come home to the space. And, you know, I don't know. I cannot have the uncertainty.
Yes. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. 'Cause for me, I'm such a home person. I'm so like attached to the aesthetic of my home. I've always, like, ever since I was 19 and I got out on my own, like, decorating and, like, making a house feel like a home has been, like, my forte. Like, I love it. And I won't say, like, I'm a professional at it, but I just...
Could be.
You know, but I mean, I think women in general have a tendency to want to do those things. Like, we all, like, curate our spaces to, like, feel like our personalities. And, like, even if we don't necessarily have, like, the skill set for it of, like, a professional, we still, like, love doing that. And we create, like, it's innate in us. Like, we want a house to feel like home for us and our kids. And especially after you have kids, like, you're a homemaker. And so...
But some people are not.
Yeah, I mean, some people
are not very good at it. I mean, you're very good at it.
Well, thank you. I mean, I enjoy it, and it's always been something I've, like, prioritized. Like, even when I was, like, dirt broke, had no money, I moved out on my own with Emma when I was 19. I had a 3-year-old, and we lived in, like, a 2-bedroom quadruplex, and I think my rent was like $495 a month, and we had, like, cockroaches, and we, like, it was not, but I painted the walls, and I, like, got the furniture, and I, like, you know, like, bartered with people, and, like, I got my home like the way I wanted it to be. I had pictures on the wall, and it was just, I've always been that way because I've always felt like I wanted to have a home base because, like, I want to feel safe and I want to have this space. Like, even when I lived at home with my parents, I always decorated my room. I had, like, my room the way I wanted it. And, like, I don't know why I was that way, but I've always, like, found comfort and, like, creativity and just, like, expressing myself in that way. And, you know, I love that. And so it's going to be very interesting because it's going to be the first time that I've never had that. Like, yeah. I mean, even before I was out on my own, I had that, you know, wherever I lived with my parents or whatnot. But now everything's going to be so, like, up in the air that it does feel scary where you're like, you have 5 kids. Yeah. And you don't know necessarily what's next. And you don't have anything, like, in your mind to, like, I don't have, like,
you're not, like, painting the picture of, like, okay, here's where we're going. This is what it's going to be like.
Yes. And, like,
and we're going to be there in this amount of time.
Remember, like, when you have moved to different houses, you spend, like, in that interim time when you, like, know you're moving and you're moving towards that other new place, you're, like, decorating it in your mind. Yeah. You're, like, rearranging the furniture. Like, all right, this is going to be my office. This is going to be the playroom. This is going to, like, oh, I could hang this here. And, like, you're like, you have this image. So you're still, like, visualizing something that's going to be home. Right. And it helps you kind of, like, almost, like, get there and, like, just, like, adapt to the feeling of that being home. But I have nothing to, like, do that in my mind too. Yeah. So really, truly, like, my kids and my husband are becoming that in my mind where it's just like, they are home. Like, wherever that is, like, that is home for me. And whatever it ends up looking like, whether we rent, whether we buy, whether we, like, you know, whatever happens, like, if we travel for a little bit, like, whatever happens, like, they're my home. And that is really, like, the relationships need curation. Like, we need to, not curation, but, like, we need, like, we're going to work on our family unit and that'll be our focus. And then, you know, the home will come when it comes, but it is an interesting spot to be in as, like, a mother and wife and being like, yeah, where are we going? I don't know. Yeah. Like, yeah. So I couldn't. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I could, but especially with the years you've had, but I think it'll be a good adventure for you guys. Are you going to stay on here where you're going, or are you going to wait to do that? I'm going to wait. Okay. I'm going to wait because I want to make sure it's, like, the right time, and that it's for sure happening. And when I have details, yes, like, more details and stuff, I'll announce. People are going to be like, what in the world is she saying right now? I know. Like, we do know where we're going. We don't know where we're living, but we know where we're going. We just don't know exactly when it's happening or, like, how it's going to unfold. So I'm just like, I'm going to, like, keep it with us until I, like, know for sure. And then I'm not sure if it'll be, like, announced through my Substack or Instagram or, like, whatever. But yeah, it'll be, like, something to write about, and it'll be, like, it will be. It's, like, a big deal. So I'm not sure how I'm going to, like, do that, but I'm excited about that too, but I can't, like, dive into it since I'm not going to say. Yeah. It's like talking code this whole episode. We are. Also, the fact that last night we literally talked for 4 hours. So I'm like, I have every detail in my mind, and this is probably super ambiguous. They're like, what are they talking about? Yeah. I know. But yeah. So But we'll keep we'll keep Dawn Photo Co. going, and we'll continue to have like our team here. No matter where we end up, like we'll have our team in Texas. We have Lubbock team members, Dallas, and then obviously Justice is a part of the team and wherever we end up. But our whole goal, like when you were a part of Dawn Photo Co. in the beginning and you were helping me, like you and I talked about the vision for this. I was like, I want this to be like in my mind, it's big enough, like, and like I could grow it to where it's like we have different branches. I hate that word because it sounds corporate, but you know, like different team members in other places so that like we don't have travel fees in those places and people are a part of it. And I just haven't quite figured out how to grow the team like that. But this feels like a way that it could kind of naturally flow into building the team in that way and like branching out and wherever we end up. And
well, especially if you're somewhere else and then your, you know, home base, quote unquote, is Texas or where you started and where most of your clients are and where your current associates are, it'll probably feel like you have that opportunity more because you're not there.
Right.
So if you're not there, you're like, okay, well, you know, things are still rolling. So we can, you know, branch out more and have shooters in different places. It's interesting because I feel like a lot of the wedding content creators I've worked with now. So I had the one who did my wedding. So all the iPhone content. And then since then, I've worked with some in Dubsado and just connected with a bunch online, and they are all like that. Like pretty much, unless it's just an individual who's a content creator, pretty much every one of the teams I've worked with where it's like one person started it and she has all these shooters, they're all over the US. Okay. And even one of the ladies I worked with, I think she even has one where they can travel. I don't know if they're South America or wherever, but they take destinations and they have like someone who is like for their international travel where it makes sense. And that's probably for them. Creation? Yeah. Okay. For the wedding content creators. Yeah. So it's interesting because that industry, they really charge based on location. So it's like they have the shooters in those different areas, like let's say East Coast or West Coast or like South Texas, Florida, kind of, or, you know, that South area. And then they also charge based on those areas too, instead of having, you know, just standard rates, because a wedding in California has to be more expensive than a wedding in Texas. Different. Right. So it's like the pricing is based on where are they located? What's the norm? How close is a shooter from there to where we don't have to charge travel? And then if they want someone specific, like they want a Justice or something, then obviously there'd be an even higher fee because he's the OG or like, you know, the most experienced or whatever it is. So it's very interesting because I feel like not a lot of vendor teams, except for planners, have that type of
dynamic. Yeah. Yeah. No, we've really been like trying to figure out, because I know that teams exist in this realm in photography and videography, but I haven't seen it done exactly like we are. Like I follow some that have teams, but they're still in it. So they're the main shooter with their wife or whatever. And then they have like the associate shooters and they've built out this brand. But me not being in it completely changes it because I'm not the face and I'm not like somebody that they actually meet anymore. So I'm not like the relational, like building the relationship aspect of it. So we're building a brand, but it's still like under this umbrella that like, you know, came from Mikayla Dawn Photography and then became Dawn Photo Co. And now we have team members and we have videography and photography. And it's just, we're still just like learning how to, and also we've had kids while we have been growing this. So it's just been like difficult to try to navigate and grow a business and like do all the things. But I'm excited for what this kind of, I don't know, just something this like, I don't know, big, like doing a move and moving your family and doing all this kind of forces you to grow like in certain ways that maybe we wouldn't be forced to, you know, get better at or more efficient or, you know, expanding in these areas or ways or like looking at travel different or whatever. And so it'll be interesting to see that all flesh out in Dawn Photo Co. and like our business and stuff as we go forward. So yeah, I'm excited because I would like to see this. I would like to see it expand to a level where it's like a real, like a big thing that we don't have to be so involved in, but it still like retains the heart of why we do what we do. Yeah.
And the people you hire are part of that culture or like mission or have the same values to where even like you were telling me the other day, that client that you booked that spoke to the associate on the phone and loved her and you can trust that she's going to do and say things that you would
Right.
in a sense. Right.
Exactly.
So,
Because I don't want to like be so, I am still a creative entrepreneur. So I'm still like, I still look at my business, even though I may not be the one shooting. I still look at it with this, like, I have an attachment to it. Like, I still want it to be an extension of my heart. Like, you know, it's not just for numbers and to grow and to, you know, like do this corporate thing. It's really, it's still like a missional thing for me. And
Yeah.
I just, it's sometimes difficult, I think, to grow and expand in photography and videography that tend to be like personal roles.
very personal.
Like it, like to keep that heart and make sure that you're like running a team well and you're like building this like culture in your team that's like really healthy and vibrant and like flows out of every member, even
And
if
they're creating
not,
art. So you want the
Yes.
art to, it's not like
Reflect
they're
it.
doing some job on the computer where it's not actually, it doesn't have this like story to it or, you know, that someone's going to take and give to their grandparents and keep in their home. Like it's more than just, okay, we have a team that's executing these things. Like you're responsible for finding the right team members who can then create the same level of art that you
would if I was there.
would, or that your
Yes.
clients are expecting.
Yeah. We call ourselves, or I call us like visual authors. So we're trying to tell people's stories through imagery, but like that's a really big burden. There's like an artistry, like you have to be good at storytelling, and I love storytelling. And so
Right.
and then we have a story and we have this backstory of Dawn Photo Co. And so I want it to just like flow into everything that we do. It's like our story is connected to your story now, and we want to tell your story because we understand the importance of like your life and your love story and your like, you know, whatever. So anyway, it's just, it's been fun, but it is like a challenge to do what we're trying to do, you know? So I'm excited for whatever's next.
Was it hard to, whenever you were starting to pull yourself out of Dawn Photo Co., was it hard to let the reins go?
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of business owners, they want to grow, or they need to, like in a season where you're at, where they want to be a mom, or they have other things going on in life or whatever it is. And they could do what you're doing, and not that it's easy, but they're so scared to like let it go to someone else or lose control or just give, delegate to people.
Yes. I think that I think a personality that has like, I want to be involved and I want it to like reflect my heart and all of this stuff, but I feel like pretty good about not micromanaging and being like, I think I learned that from my first hire, because I literally was like, just help me. Like, here's my business. Like,
you were never a micromanager. Yeah.
I was just like, get it done. And like, if we had kinks or stuff to work through, like we just did it as we went, but I've never been like a hoverer. Like I just don't have the capacity because I have too much going on in my real life. Like I have kids and like we are busy. And so like any help that I do delegate, I truly am just like, I need you to just like take ownership over your role. Like, like I want you to have buy-in and I want you to enjoy what you do. So I can't constantly be telling you like what to do or how to do it. I just want the right people in the right places. And so that it can like be a part, like my vision can kind of come to life. But so yes and no, like it's hard to let go of, I think mainly for me, it was hard to get out of the driver's seat because I did like being the face of my business.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely enjoyed like getting on stories and create, like I'm a relational and a people person. So I thrive in that environment, like creating relationships, getting you to know, like, and trust me. Like that's something that I actually like feel like I'm good at. And I like that part of it, like the relational side of it with people. And so that's been really hard because my role now feels very like isolated and lonely because I'm just like behind my desk. Like, when the kids, like I'm taking care of the kids and then like during nap times and stuff, I'm like answering emails and like, doing Dipsado stuff or whatever.
Things.
But not the cool things. I'm not like meeting up with people at the shoots and they're like, oh my gosh,
it's Mikayla.
Like, like I'm not doing that anymore. And so that's been, and I'm not showing up on stories and I'm not like, I've removed my face from things and it's freed me up in a way that's good for my season of life because I can't show up in the way that I used to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's hard because I'm like, I miss it. I miss being the person that,
do you think that maybe after this next season where you guys you know, wherever you go next and go through changes that you would come back to that? Or do you feel like you're hoping it'll be able to continue to grow without you as the face? Or like, what is that?
I think Dawn Photo Co., my goal for Dawn Photo Co. is me to not be the face of, and it to be like a mid-level, like price point and accessible, but not like, I don't want to be like those cheap, you know, it's like photography.com, you know, or like DallasPhotography.com,
like
whatever.
for like 3 days of photography.
Yes, and you know, they're just finding people that like have a camera and just like hiring some random person that's not on a team permanently.
Right.
They're just like, you know,
contracting it out.
Yes. And that's what I didn't want. And so, you know, I've seen that and I don't want that. And so Dawn Photo Co., I think I want it to be without me, but then Justice and I have talked and like, I feel like I am really good at photography and it's something I do enjoy, but I want to shoot what I want to shoot.
Are there any weddings or clients where you're like, I'm doing that one? Or when's the last time you shot a wedding?
I shot a wedding for a friend last year. I'm shooting one for a friend in March, actually, next month.
Oh, wow.
And it's usually people that like, I love them so much and I would never want them to like have to go find a photographer. Like, and so I just like, you know, I'm like, I'll do it for you, you know, and because I still love it, you know? And so it's probably like once a year that I've like jumped in that seat again. But, yeah, I think once my kids are a little bit older or we have some sort of like childcare system set up to where like I could leave for that amount of time or like do a little bit of travel, like I could see myself like going back to the main photographer of my own brand that I reopened, that I do very, very select few. And it's like a completely different editing style. And it's like really just like my stuff. Like it's my own thing. And it's really just like a creative outlet. And it's probably like a way higher price point because to get me to go out and do that would be, it's just like to leave my house and figure out childcare and like to do all the things.
Sometimes it's like not even worth the amount of time and things you have to do to be able to leave.
Right. Exactly. You're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. So yeah, that's like in the back of my mind where I'm like, okay, if I ever feel like I'm at that place where I can like do that again and like, I'm not going to be sacrificing my family and like my sanity and like anything like that. Like I would like to do that again, but it's just going to have to be in the right circumstances that we are able to step into that again.
Yeah. This is random, but do you still have your photo booth?
We have it and we don't advertise it. And what are you
going to do with that? Are you going to sell it when you leave?
I feel like we'll sell it. We didn't market it. It's not something that became like really important. Like in the beginning, it was easy to just add it to like my bride's packages and it was like an add-on and it wasn't a big deal. And now it's like,
it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. And we have different shooters and they're not like wanting to lug the photo booth too there.
How much are you going to sell it for?
I don't know. Like, I think we bought it for like $3,000.
Jesus.
Back in the day, which I mean, if you're, you know, booking it for $500,
I kind of want to buy it from you. That's what I'm asking. I'm
could totally.
I want to buy it.
Yeah.
Because if we come visit you, I'm like, the only reason I say that is every year, I mean, for Addie's party and my party, we get a photo booth and I'm like, okay, we literally spend almost $1,000 a year just on renting it ourselves. But then I thought to myself, honestly, I mean,
why don't I just buy
starting a photo business is not a bad idea over here because like where you're at, it's a little harder because people aren't just throwing events all the time. Do you know what I mean? But here, I mean, it's farmers market. Yeah. I mean, there's literally like all events, all kinds of things, coffee shops, grand openings. And you just find someone who can take it and go to the events and pay them like $20 an hour, $30 an hour, whatever it is.
People have been so successful doing that. And I wish that I had the time and energy to throw into that too. Cause that can be a great way to make like some passive income if you have like.
Well, I'm like, Josh, if we do what we've been talking about, which I will tell on the podcast eventually when it's the right time. between that thing and that, even he could
Totally
that could
do
be
that.
enough to just at least get him where he wants to be, working from home or what have you. And then it'd be so easy to find a college student who just
And these photo booth companies like have different levels. So you have like these, you know, the basic photo booths and photo booths that like print stuff. And then you have like the 360 photo booth. And like, so you can have different like tiers and like different like things that you could offer. And that side of it is not something that like, if you do end up growing to the extent of needing to hire people, that's not something that you have to like train people how to be good at.
Teach them how to
It's just
set it
like
up.
you need
They
like a
just show
college
up.
student that you pay an hourly rate to like go set it up and
have a
then
good
take it out.
attitude. I actually did that a couple times when I was in college. My old boss at the church, the one that got me my job, but when I was an intern, he started a photo booth company, and this was back in 2014 or 15 when it wasn't as big. Like no one had that. And this was in the Woodlands, and it was like, I remember everyone was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing. Cause he was just a normal guy and he started this photography business. So like every party, like at the church, they would have it.
Yeah.
You know, they would I mean, it was just so cool. And I worked a couple of events, and it was great money because he would pay me like I think he would pay me a flat rate. Like for the night you get paid $200 or whatever it was, you know, depending on how long the event was. And it was great money.
It was great money.
You just go set it up and you're just, hey guys, take a picture, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so easy. Yeah.
And it's for a couple hours, not like you're working this 8-hour shift or 8-hour wedding or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, we had toyed around with the idea of like growing that into its own thing. Remember, we made a website and everything, not your father's selfie booth.
I love that though.
It's so cute. I still love that name, and I loved our little logo and our branding for it. But
it had the little mustache, right?
Yes, the little mustache. It was super. You can have it.
Should I just buy it for the brand from you?
Yeah, just
I really
get the
would.
brand. Like,
honestly,
I think that website is still up, so you can just like transfer it.
I'm actually kind of about it, because if we drive up there and see you,
just
hopefully
take
if
the
you're
photo
still
booth.
there, we'll just take the photo booth with us.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. So thank you for the sale. That was just
Okay, cha-ching.
Venmo me
You're gonna tell
on
Justice
camera.
like, okay, so we already did our first sale for all of the shit we're trying to get rid of.
Yes,
No Lubbock photographers try to go to Mikayla's house and get this freaking
the
selfie
photo booth is not going to be pay what you want. Just come in, somebody's over there like,
they're like
I'm
in your house getting all your
taking this.
equipment. Like, I'll take this camera.
Here's $50.
$5.
Like, what? Yeah. So anyway, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So what next?
I don't know.
Wait, what time is it? How much time do we have?
I don't know.
We still have like 30 minutes. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Let's see.
You can cut this out. I keep getting those fast track toll like
Spam?
Yes.
Yes. Me and
like,
Josh
I've
have
gotten
got them
three
multiple
of them
times.
since I've been here.
I wonder if it's like a geographical situation, because me and Josh get those all the time. We
don't even have tolls in Lubbock, so I'm like, I'm not driving on toll roads.
That is weird. I got a spam email from a past client like literally 2 days ago, and it was from this client that I did for Dubsado, and he's a very big wedding planner, like very big. And it was an email, and it said it was like a bid, you know, when you want to contract something out and you send out a bid.
Yeah.
Which is very weird, because I was like, he had hired me before, and it was through, it's like the opposite direction. Like I would send a proposal out.
Yeah.
And the email said something like that. And there was this link, and I clicked on it, and then I was like, this feels kind of weird. It was a total like scam virus. And I had and I logged into Google on my phone, and I was like, this seems weird. Cause when it tells you someone's logged in from wherever, and it was like this weird place. So I emailed the client. I said, hey, this looks kind of sus, what is this? And they emailed back and said, yes, like we're trying to hire you for something. Would you like review this bid? And then I was like, this is super sketch. Yep. And they emailed me like yesterday and said, we've been hacked. I was like, fuck.
Oh no.
But I changed my password as soon as it happened. So
Well,
if anyone got any weird emails,
it out, my grandparents are like the people that are like, oh, what do you need from me? Oh, you need my bank account information.
Have you seen those old people scams?
Yes.
That are really like, they'll call and somehow know, the grandparents, the old person's like child or grandchild's name and say,
they'll be like, they're in prison in Dubai.
Yes, or I've even heard that they'll like get voice changers and be as if they're, you know, like, hey grandma,
the AI voice or whatever.
Yes, I'm stranded and I don't have any gas and, you know, I'm in trouble.
Venmo me at this thing. Like
I need bail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
it's so
terrible.
sad. There was actually like right down the street from me in my current neighborhood, there was an old man who got scammed like that, and they emptied his bank accounts completely, and he killed himself. He literally, like, he was so distraught over what happened, and he lost all of his wealth, every single, like, I guess his savings,
probably retirement,
like
everything.
everything. He was like probably in his, I want to say his 60s or 70s, and he killed himself after it. I was like, he lived right next door to my grandma, and that's how I like found out about it, and I was like devastated and also like so scared. And also my grandparents fall for that crap all the time.
That is
They're
terrible.
like, the Prince of Egypt contacted me today, and they literally like,
you
does
know
this
those
look
ones
like
where
a
it's like,
scam to you? And I'm
you
like,
have an aunt that has sent you a $7 million. All we need is your social security card and your bank account and your address and your full name to send you this great aunt's wealth.
are we gonna be like that when we're old? Like our
hope
kids are
not.
like, what is wrong with you? And we're like over there like like with the big numbers on our screen, like, I'm typing in my bank account number because this text came through and said my account was locked.
Not. I really hope not. I feel like at least we're the generation that, if you think about it, I heard
We
this
grew
somewhere.
up in with technology.
Do you know we're
right?
the last generation that ever knew life before
like both
smartphones?
Yes.
And social media?
Yeah.
Ever.
Millennials. They had a little bit of both. We had no internet or AOL connection, dial up.
Well, and it's like it came out in our
lifetime.
prime of
Like while
development, middle school, high school. I mean, I got my first iPhone in like 5th grade, but that obviously was it was a smartphone technically for its time, but it didn't have what we have, like apps and all that stupid shit now. But it's so crazy to think about that. And so I feel like, because even Addie sometimes will be like, oh, this is how you do it. I'm like, no, I run a podcast. I'm a business owner. I could literally figure any technical shit out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not one of those. Like, I'm not retarded.
You don't gotta help me with this, honey.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I still feel like I'm a little stupid when it comes to technology, but then that's why I have Justice and he figures it out for me. So
Honestly, I'm so glad because in art school, which it's one of those things where I'm glad I went to art school and like had that entire experience and dropped, like, obviously it's such a big part of my story.
Right.
But in art school, I had to take video classes, and that's how I learned Premiere Pro. And so that's how, like, when I started this podcast, I felt a little bit more, I mean, even now, like today versus 3 years ago, there's so many more platforms and AI and things to help people make podcasts that it's a little bit easier. But even when I started the podcast and started brainstorming it, I already knew how to run Premiere Pro. Not that I was great at audio stuff or an expert in video, but scrappy enough to be able to do it.
to do the thing. Yeah.
And it not be
it's
super
paid off
time consuming.
So well for you. I think that's actually Premiere Pro is what Justice uses to edit his wedding videos.
Yeah, because I was in this video class because my major was digital media and fine art. But in the digital media, we had to do video and, digital photography and different like art that was digital.
Everything you have learned and like your skill set, you'll never not have something to do, like for a job. Like you may be unemployable, but you are like, you'll always like, you're entrepreneur, like you have done like website stuff and like the podcasting and social media and video editing and like all the things, like all your skill sets, you can just like do pretty much anything you want on your own. Yeah.
Anywhere.
It's
That's
so
why I feel
helpful.
I feel like when I get a business idea, I'm like, let's just go for it. Cause
you're like, why would we not?
Which it's interesting because I feel other people that don't, obviously if they don't have those skills, that is the hardest part, is starting it.
Right. You're like, I've got to learn this and I don't know how to
and
do
I've got to
this.
get a website and I've got to figure out. And
or they think they have to like pay for that right out the gate when they
Right.
don't have any money yet and it hasn't made any money. So they're like stuck and they're like, well, I'd have to have like 10K to like start this business. But you're like, I know how to do all this.
Yeah. And also what I've learned, and you probably can attest to some of the things you've done, is like your biggest tool for starting a business is your mouth.
Yeah.
1,000%. If
Your
you know how to
voice.
sell something, I have sold things to people and I had even you,
Yes.
zero proof.
Yeah, you're like,
Zero.
I swear I'll do a good job. And I was like,
Yes,
take
but
it. Here's my money.
And I'm not lying about my skills, but I know how to identify a problem. Let me tell you the solution. Here's why you need it. And then do the
why
banter
I'm
back and
the
forth, negotiate
person for it. Yeah.
So if you can learn like sales skills before you actually start a business, you could be booking clients with literally nothing online that shows that you have a business.
Yep. That's what I learned from my business coach back in the day.
Carrie?
Shout out Carrie. Yeah. She
What
was
is
just
she
so
up
good.
to? I know she lost a lot in the LA fires. Huh?
Yeah. It was
really
really, it's
sad.
so sad. Yeah.
I've always just wondered like if she started a new business or if she works for someone else now.
I honestly don't, I think she worked for Dubsado for a period of time.
She did work for Dubsado. That was a while ago.
Yeah. I haven't caught up with, or, like we're not up to date with each other and stuff, but I learned a lot of
She was so
from
smart.
her sales psychology. Like she is so smart. Like, and she taught me how to sell, like before I was an educator. Like I hired her because I was like, I don't know how to get an education and I know what I'm doing. I just don't know how to like voice to someone else I know what I'm doing besides like, selling weddings to, brides. How do I sell education to, what? And she like had a formula and like a way we speak and like sell. And so she really helped me figure out my voice in that. And I realized like, oh, you really just need to know how to pitch yourself and how to sell an idea and how to appear that you have an authority, even if you haven't necessarily like done something in that space yet. As long as you like can actually back it up with like your real life experience, then you really just need to know how to like sell yourself. And then
have the confidence to literally make someone
just
go,
like be brave
need
enough,
that
like
person.
have the courage to like step out and do it.
Yep.
And like do it a couple of times and then boom, you've got, a rapport going, you've got, good reviews. Like you can literally do anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
It is insane. And I hope it's encouraging for people that want to start a business, but they're scared because you don't need to have all that stuff. I mean, yes, having a website and all this and great branding, like that's all great. And eventually we'll need that if you want to grow and all of that.
Right.
But I mean,
at the end of the day, if you don't know it, you can have all of that. And if you don't know how to sell yourself, you also won't make any money. So it's like getting that part of it down, like knowing how to pitch yourself and like be confident and know what you're talking about and sell someone, like identify their problem, have the solution and tell them why you are the person for the job. Then you're, you'll do it. You'll be successful to some degree. So
I remember I used to be so scared of talking on the phone. Like I was one of those kids where my mom would have to call the doctors for me when I was still 18 or something. And she's like, you're actually an adult. Well, I think it was just because I'm super confident in person, but I think I also rely so much on like energy and body language and you don't know that stuff.
Yeah, you're like, I can't order this pizza. They might hate me.
Yeah, literally. And also, I was in my head about everything at that point in time. But I remember when I started my business before with Chanel Lee, whenever, like you hired me, I would get so nervous to be on calls. And now it's so funny because I feel like such a sales bro because I'm like, a sales call? I can do it in my sleep. I'll be like at the spa or just on a walk. That's why Bub's always like, your clients. Because I'm like, a client is calling. I have to client call, And it's just so second nature now. But I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
Right.
And hundreds of video calls and Zoom calls. And so the confidence comes, but it's so funny looking back 6 years ago when I would get so nervous before a client call. I would literally be like, oh my God.
Like sweating.
I'm so nervous. What am I going to say? What if they hate me?
I've never done this in my life. They shouldn't hire me. I'm stuck. Yeah, I know. I used to do that too, like with wedding packages, like talking to brides or when I started doing education, like the few people that I talked to because I only did that for a short bout before Valor. And so anyway, like even doing that was like so nerve wracking. I was like, I feel like a fraud, but I did it, got myself out of my shell. And then you just get better at it. It takes practice, you just have to like keep doing it. And then you feel more confident and more confident and more confident. And you learn like, oh, I'm going to tweak this next time. I'm going to say this. I forgot to mention this. Like, you just get better. It's like anything.
It is. It is. And I've realized too, a lot of my people who I'll mentor or coach and they'll be like, well, what if someone's unhappy or they have a question I don't know the answer to? And I'm like, as long as you are solution based and you can at least direct them that you're going to find a solution or you have a solution. Or even like one thing I've learned to stop saying, and I used to say it a lot, is unfortunately. So instead of saying, oh, you know, if someone says, for example, does Dipsado do this? Instead of saying, oh, unfortunately they don't, I'll say they can't do that. However, they can do this. Or if I have like kind of a workaround,
or like that you're like, well, actually there's a free app that you get, like
that
we
you
were
can
talking
do
about HoneyBook versus Dipsado.
Exactly.
It's like, it's never painted in a negative light.
It's never like a no. It's
actually, however, positive, you know,
like, positive. And that was something, just because you, in normal life, you're not really thinking of it that way because you're not trying to make a sale in every conversation. But I stopped saying, unfortunately, I stopped saying no. And then I also, one thing I'll do is I kind of how when you piggyback into each other and you talk and you kind of like finish their thought, not all the time to where it's annoying, but if you're trying to explain something and I say, oh, you mean like this? And you're like, yes, because then they're saying yes. And they keep saying that. And it's like every action, they're reaffirming a yes with you to where they start associating you with that. Yes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And you must know what you're talking about and you can read my brain.
You're reading my brain.
Yes. Like,
which only comes with knowing a client or an ideal client or like your solution really well. So also time in it. But those are like little things I've learned where I feel now I could literally sell you your phone right now.
Yeah. You're like, I know you own it, but I will sell it back to you. And I'm like,
you will pay me for it.
Yes, I will Venmo you right now on my phone for my phone.
You'll pay me for the photo booth.
Yes, literally. That's how I felt, how good Carrie was at selling. Like she could sell literally when I talk, like she would like voice memo, like to, like she was pitching herself to me, like to hire her. And I had never spent that much money on education.
Carrie's the most I've ever spent in my business as well.
Yes. Literally.
And it wasn't as much as you, but it was,
money.
I did a VIP day with her and that's like in one purchase.
Yeah.
The most I've ever spent in my business.
Yeah. It was like an insane amount of money. And by the end, I was just like, I can't not hire you. Like this would be, it was crazy. But then her doing that with me also gave me the confidence on like, if I can learn to sell like you, cause I don't like spend money like this, but if I'm willing to do this because you have the knowledge on how to like sell yourself and like, you know what the heck you're talking about, then like I probably should learn from you, you know? So she's great at what she does, but she's like she's the same. She can sell anything. Yeah.
Whenever I hired her for my VIP day, she was the one who helped me create that Dipsado course that I did for other Dipsado pros. I don't know if you remember when I was doing that. I did like 6 rounds and it was a live group coaching situation. I'm thinking about relaunching it, but as a self-paced because it was just 8 weeks live. It was so much on me to show up and do that. But I mean, with what I paid her, I made that back just from that course. Because I did the course it was obviously over, you know, like 18 months or something 2 years that I did that course every quarter. But I mean, she literally helped me create that entire idea. And then, so I made back in one round of the course what I paid her.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and when you have that big of a buy-in, you're like more motivated to make it work and to implement rather than like doing like a free online course or like something that's just like a low ticket thing that you don't really prioritize. With her, when I paid her $25K, like
I didn't know if you were gonna say that number, but
I've written about it. I've said it
so much.
It's a lot, like literally.
But you made it back.
Much, but I made it back like immediately, almost. Like I think within the first 3 months.
Because that was when you did the workshop, right?
Yeah, I hired her before the workshop, and then we started working on the workshop and coaching, and then she also like. I thought it was just for education, but then she helped me sell a boudoir marathon that I had never done 2 days for. And we had just paid like about, I want to say our bedroom renovation was about $10K at that time. And we like vaulted the ceiling. We got like hardwood floors. Like we did like the most, you know, like the wood ceiling, the beams, it's just like we went all out. And I was
your bedroom's like a mini living room.
It literally is. It's huge. And it was gorgeous. And I was like, if I can sell like 2 boudoir day, like marathons to somehow make up the cost of what this cost to renovate, like that would be awesome because I also just hired her. And so she helped me sell that out. And I'd never done that many at that price point and I think it was like $450. And I did 2 days and there was like
I remember that.
20 people who did, I don't know. I think it was like $8 or $9 grand.
And we set it all up in Dubsado.
And we set it all up in Dubsado. It was all automated.
Yep.
Everyone had the freaking best time. Those were like killer photos.
Didn't you do like hair and makeup too? I think you had.
No.
Oh, I thought for some reason you had someone there.
I had done that in the past, but I was like, I don't even want to do that because it's more like cost and work associated with like just having that all set up, and you've got to like do the time slots like correctly with like when they get done. And a lot of girls like end up being like, I don't really want that because I only trust my hair and makeup artist. And so, because I'm that way, like I don't have a hair and makeup artist. Like I don't do my makeup or my hair. So
you're like, I my hair and makeup.
Well, every time I get my hair and makeup done, I mean like I hate it because I'm like, I look like a clown because I never do this. I don't look like myself. But so I just like cut that part out of it. But we did have the selfie booth. We had mimosas. We had like snacks and like it was like a fun girly party. Yeah. Like we had music and it was just like I'd encourage people to bring their friends.
Remember when you did my boudoir photos?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I actually, when I looked at that picture in your office, I was like, did I take this? No, I didn't take this, but it reminded me of when I was like, oh my gosh, we did boudoir.
I remember because I had lost a bunch of weight and I felt so fine. And I was like, Mikayla, please take my photos. And I was like, I am the hottest thing to ever walk this planet. Okay.
Oh my gosh. I have to go back and see if I have those. Like,
I don't, because I think you sent me like all the raws and then I just edited them and then because it was right after the workshop. So I was like, just send them to me and like, don't worry about editing. Same trip. Okay. And it's not like I did anything with them. I just sent them to Josh. So I'm like, really, I just looked at myself.
Yeah. You're like, I
am that girl.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That was so fun. But anyway, yeah, when I hired her, we did the workshop. She helped me sell that out, which was like, I want to say, I think it was like $15K from the workshop because that was $500 per person. And then we did the upgrade for the second day for the shoot. And
you did the upgrade for like the spouse.
That was only for one person, I think. They brought their spouse. And we were like technically sold out, but we allowed them to pay to bring their spouse. So we ended up having, I think, 2 people over the amount of people that we originally planned for. But we did that.
And I can't believe we executed that whole thing.
Literally.
Just me and you.
Just me and you. And thank God for you because I am not that person that's like, I want to make slideshows.
You were pregnant at the workshop.
And no one knew I was pregnant with Valor. I had found out the week before and I hadn't told anyone and I was so sick. I was so sick.
And you were so nervous. And I remember you're like,
I know. I got up on stage and I literally, well, it wasn't a stage. It was just the front of the room.
But
I literally, like, my eyes started twitching and I was like, I felt like everyone was really looking at me like, why is she having a stroke? Like, because I was like, Jordan introduced me and I like went up on the stage and I was just like, hi. And I remember like talking, but feeling like my words were coming out like molasses, but I think I was actually talking really, really fast, but it was like my body and my brain were like, you do not belong on a stage.
Because remember we were trying to time each section, you know, because you had to make it to where it like fit the day. So you didn't want to go too fast, but you didn't go too slow to where you
I was overthinking it. Yeah. And it was like the first time
I did so good. No one even realized.
One could tell
I just knew because you were like, oh my God, I'm pregnant and I'm going to die. And also I'm scared. And it was the first time you did that. I've
never done public speaking before.
You did amazing.
I had never done education. And it was kind of like, this is the moment. Like, you're either going to be good at this or everyone's going to hate you and say you're a fraud and like, then come and murder you. Like,
no one's going to, it didn't end
my
up that
worst
way.
Case scenarios in my mind, just like playing out and like all my workshop attendees, like making videos and being like, I'm at this workshop. I paid $500 for this person is a horrible person and she's retarded. And like, that was like going through my mind. I was like, just somebody's about to do it. But yeah, it went really well. And then after the workshop, then I pitched myself to several for coaching. And then I started doing the coaching. And that was so fun. And that was just like my dipping my toes into education, and it really was going really, really well. And then she was going to help me. My next step was like, I was going to launch my podcast, and then I was going to start doing that. And so I was like stepping into this like new thing that was going to be I was so excited about it. And then the world shut down and I got so freaking sick because I was pregnant with Valor and I got HG again. And so I was like debilitated and crippled. and in bed and then depressed.
All the weddings were rescheduled.
All the weddings were rescheduled. We lost all of our income. It was like a night and day difference. I was like,
I forgot about all of that
rolling
right
in the
before.
dough, being so successful. And then it was like, bam, I'm pregnant. Bam, the world shut down. Bam, you lost all your money, all your clients. No one's hiring you. Like overnight, it felt like everything. And then I was too sick to do anything about it. So I couldn't like hustle my way out of it or like figure out something, like pivot.
Start something else.
Yeah.
Do
or like
something.
do an online education course or like whatever. And so I was just like, that was the true beginning season of like pruning that God did on my life.
Because when you think about it, it was only a year before, and it felt like it was a lot longer before Valor, but it was only the year, right?
Yeah, it was 2020. And he was born in 2021.
Oh no,
he was born in 2020. Okay. In October, and then he passed in September of 2021.
2021. Okay, I thought it was 2022.
Like 8 days before his birthday.
Insane.
Yeah, it was like a very short time period. So yeah, it's crazy. Like I really do look back at all of that, and it feels like I lived a different life. Like I look at everything now. Like I have 5 kids. Like truly, like some days I wake up and I'm like whiplash. Like what? Whose life am I in? Like what just happened? Like
I feel that way sometimes.
It's
I
crazy.
didn't go through anything like you did, but from where I was 6 years ago, like when, your memories come up, like I saw this trend the other day. It was on Instagram. It was like, post you in 2017. I was like, I would not post myself in 2017 because I looked like a hoochie mama and God knows what I was doing at any given time. It was bad. And I think about that too. I'm like, and I see other women in that stage of like, young girls when you go out or something. And I'm just like, you could young Padawan. Like I remember this time so well.
I remember being you.
And even though I'm not older,
you, and they're like, what?
Yeah. I feel like I've grown like 10 years when it's only been, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just feels like when you go through certain things, like the stages of motherhood and business
entrepreneurship,
and when you combine them both, even it's literally jarring.
It's jolting. Yes. You're like, what the heck happened?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's crazy.
That's why I get excited whenever, I talk to business owners who are having their first and they're already in their business. And I'm like, welcome. Welcome to fun.
Yes. Like you are in for a ride.
Literally.
And it is funny because children like motivate you to do more and get better at what you do and more efficient. And like they actually add a layer. Like they don't hold you back. I really do think that children,
I think they push you forward.
They push you forward. They give you a reason to live. And like you have a new why, and your why has a lot more clarity and a lot more just like it's
deeper.
in your nature to like, to provide and protect and like nurture and, provide a life for them and all this stuff. And so I feel like it really does, like children add to your life in a way that is just like so beautiful. Like you don't experience that until you have kids. Like when you're an entrepreneur, like it's a completely different thing. And so, yeah, it's weird to see how far, like how much life has been lived and how much things have changed. And, like it's just a lot has happened and changed, and I've covered a lot of ground and done a lot with my life. I'm like, all right, I've done some things. I can die now.
No. Whatever.
I have a.
But isn't that crazy? It's like you're only 30.
32.
I know, but you're in your 30s. I'm like, some people don't have. I feel like 40s, 50s, 60s, like people still have insane, beautiful stories that come in their 40s and their 50s and their 60s, or they cross these insane barriers, or they have this immense growth, or like they finally see all of that work come to fruition. So I feel like you're just at the beginning.
Yeah. I definitely feel like I'm in this weird spot where I feel like I'm in my youth, but I'm out of it, out of the
hard part of it.
Yeah. It's growing into this maturity that is like, I still feel young, but I have like so much wisdom and life experience that I feel like I'm like, I want to steward this well, because I know I only have like, I mean, I'm 32, but if, my prime is going to be over when I'm like, until I'm like maybe 60, like, would that be like the older prime? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, I don't have a lot of time to do something with my gifts or whatever before I get super tired and old. And I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. But so like, I want to steward it well. And I'm excited because I feel like I do feel a little bit different in the fact that some people are like not having kids. Like they don't even have their first kid until they're 30, and I have like
or
6.
late 30s nowadays.
Yeah, or late 30s, or, like even my aunt who wanted to be a mom and, and homeschooled her kids or whatever, her first she had at 27. And I'm like, I had Valor at 27. I lost a kid by the time I was that age. Like, it's like, I feel like so much has been crammed into my youth, which feels like, I'm like, dang, my 20s like are gone. That's like, I feel like I spent what some people spend in their 40s in that era.
Yep.
And now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with like the life experience, the wisdom, the story that I have, and how do I allow God to make something beautiful out of that, and for me to have like this purpose and like do something with it with this time I have left, like with my younger years,
Yeah. I feel that way sometimes too. Cause I feel like in my 20s have been an insane ride, like getting married at 18 and then divorce and then partying my entire ass off and then getting pregnant to my boyfriend of a month and then, starting a successful business. And I'm like, I'm not even 30 yet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, holy shit. Like, what do I even, how do I take all this? And then what's next?
Yeah.
Like this isn't it. And this is not the end goal. So is it seasonal? Like it's, and then you can't predict life either. So, you never know what's coming in the future.
Yeah.
Which is also scary.
Yeah. Scary, but part of the fun. And yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see where we're at in another few years when I come back on the podcast.
When I see you again in 3 years.
Yeah, in 3 years, you're like, you've had 10 more children. Congratulations. I thought you were done. Yes, I am done. Like,
are you really though?
Yes.
I mean, maybe in a couple more years. No, you're like good.
No.
Are you going to like do anything permanent? Like, is he going to get the snip?
Justice is going, I'm like, my body has been through the ringer, through everything. Like, you can do this thing. And I don't know. It's so weird because I don't know how I feel about that too. Like, there's so many like things that I hear too. Like,
well, people can still get pregnant on that.
Yes. And just doing anything permanent to anyone's bodies when it has to do with their like reproductive system feels like I don't know all the risks and all the things.
It is scary.
It's scary too, because you're like, I don't want to mess you up, and I don't want to be messed up, and I hate birth control. Like you know what I mean? Like it's hard to make that decision for family planning
permanently
like a permanent, and like, it's like, well, I don't know how I'm going to feel. And like, I feel done right now, but like, what if, like, I'm still so young that like, what if in 5 years,
my mom had my brother at 45.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like what if I just decide like one morning, I'm like, I want a baby,
or even for my mom, like, and she would say this, so I'm fine to say this, but when my last brother, the one that passed, was alive, she got her tubes tied because she thought she was done. And then when he passed, she was like, I want another baby because I lost one. Yeah. And she didn't think she would ever be able to get pregnant again. She tried with my real dad, which thank God that didn't work out. And then literally doctor after doctor told her, like, you're just done. Yeah. And then that's why Braylon's the miracle baby, because she was not supposed to get pregnant. And then the fact that she was 45 and they were both completely healthy birth, healthy baby. It was like
a miracle. Yeah. It was her little rainbow.
So you just never know if you're going to want to.
Yes. But there was like, I had never experienced that done feeling until I had Rune. It was like immediately upon holding him.
Like you just felt like, what do you mean by like just done? Like you're like complete?
Yeah. Like it wasn't like, I'm like, I never want to do this again, because I say that after like right after pushing any baby out. I'm like, don't ever do that to me again. Like, but when I held him and it was just this feeling of completeness. Like it was like an inner, like knowing,
like, okay,
like it feels like everyone's here. Like I don't have any questions about like,
should we have more?
Like, and I never felt that. I just assumed that like women who say like, yeah, I knew I was done after, 1 or 2, or like maybe they just were saying that they never wanted to be pregnant again, which I've said as well. And then I get pregnant again. So, but it was just like this, like almost like this spiritual experience where I just felt like this is the last soul that my body's a vessel to, like is the greatest, like the closest way I could put words to it. But I know that doesn't make sense because I like don't know, but it felt like I knew in that moment. I was like, I'm never going to have another baby again. Like, this is it. This is the last like little bow tied on this part of my motherhood. And it was interesting. I think I wrote about it in Rune's story because at one of my workshops back when I was in my prime photographer education, you know, hiring business coach days, I was in Florida at like a workshop, and we were drinking on the rooftop bar with a bunch of people, and we decided to like do the hair ring game or whatever.
My mom always has believed in those.
Yes. And it said I was going to have 6 kids. And at the time I
got chills. That's so weird.
I only had 3. I only had
You're like, fuck
Emma,
no.
Natalie, and Beckham. And I was like, I'm absolutely not going to have that many. And I knew that I was like, no. And it was just funny because I was like, well, we know this isn't accurate and this is just like a fun game we're playing while we're all tipsy. And so, but then now that I have 6 kids, it's crazy because I'm like, maybe there's some truth to that game. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
I don't know. But yeah, now I have 6 kids and I definitely feel like that's it for me.
Yeah.
If I have such hard pregnancies that if I got pregnant again, I would physically die. I tell everyone like I would be planning a birth and a funeral for myself. Like
you do
take
have
the
hard
baby
pregnancies
out and put me down. Like
that's what scares me is because some women, their pregnancies are different between each child. So I'm like, I had an easy, and I'm like, why risk it?
Like
why?
one and done. Like we had our one hit wonder.
I go back and forth all the time. It's, I don't know. Some days I really, and then seeing Rune and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I could do one more.
I could do one more.
And then seeing Josh with Rune, I'm like, my ovaries are screaming.
I feel like, especially to be married now, like, we were talking about that last night. Like, we know, like, nothing changed about your life technically. Like, you're still together living in the house that you were and, like, all of that. But I don't know, like, having a baby after you were married, like, after that part of your, like, a milestone that you crossed and, like, you're in this, like, y'all are a different kind of close. Like, it does change the dynamics and, like, just the feeling about your family and all that. I just think it would be
when we had Bub, everything was really high stress about our relationship. It was everything was unknown. We didn't even know if we were going to stay together.
It was an accident. Like, it was like an oopsie.
It was a complete shock. And you're like, what the fuck?
And so to, like, go into it and be like, okay, and, like, plan for it changes everything. And you can, like, look forward to it in a way that, like, you didn't get to in the beginning of that because it was so, like, high stress and you didn't know what you were going to, what was going to happen between you guys and, like, what was going to happen in your future. And, like, it was just, like, so scary and, like, unknown. And so I feel like
we didn't even live together until I was 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild.
It'll be so wildly different if y'all did decide to, and him being here with you and, like, walking through that with you and, like, the love and care that you can receive from him and
the kids
and, like, they'll help and everyone will just, I'm for it because I am pro babies, obviously. And and having never wanted kids from when I was younger and, like, I never wanted this many. And having kids has changed my view of everything. Like, even in the muck of it and how hard it is and how, like, self-sacrificing it is and all, like, I see the refinement that it provides yourself and your household and the people, like, and it's like beauty, joy, and refinement. So people are you're becoming a better person
totally
through motherhood. And because you have to, like, give more of yourself. And yes, it sounds hard, but I mean, from my, Christian perspective, it's like laying your life down is where you find your life. Like, that's when you truly, like, in the Christian worldview, it's like everything is upside down. So, like, down is up is down. So, like, laying your life down, that's where you find it. Like, self-sacrifice is actually where you find your true self. Like, it's in giving of yourself that you find who you really are. Like, it's truly, like, the dynamics and just, like, the spiritual journey through motherhood over and over and over again has just made my view of people having babies just completely different, where I'm like, yes, have another. Like, I encourage you. I'll always be the person that's like, if you feel like you should have another, you should have another.
Yeah.
And even if you don't and you end up pregnant, just trust that it's going to be amazing. Like, it's going to be great.
I will say this time I'm a lot I'm in a lot more better shape.
Yes, you're gonna have a great
I won't
pregnancy.
be eating like caniac combos every single night.
I mean, let's just get something straight. Those pregnancy cravings, they'll make you eat anything.
I would literally, if I did not have a straight up caniac combo, extra toast, extra cane sauce, extra large root beer, I would go irate. And that is like 3,000 calories. And that would be one of the things I would eat.
But you're feeding too, so it's fine. It's fine. I was like that because I was so sick in my pregnancies that if anything ever sounded good, I immediately was like, I'm eating it.
So you could eat it and get it done.
I was like, oh, I want 4 cupcakes. Go.
Done.
I
still want 4 cupcakes.
Yes. I had the biggest sweet tooth with Rune. That's probably why he was 10 pounds and why I have horrible like issues still with my mobility
Hips.
and still recovering from his birth, but it's fine. I have the rest of my life to recover. So yeah, do it. Have another baby.
All right. I'm going to go do that right now. No, I'm just kidding. Josh isn't here.
We'll take a pregnancy test when we return.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been good. What time is it?
Yes, it is 10:36.
Okay.
Perfect
I think
timing.
that's a good place to end it.
Go to wrap up.
I know.
I love you so much.
I love
I'm
you
so
too.
sad that I have to leave.
I
but
know. I
I'm
wish
so
we
glad
lived
got to do
closer.
this.
It would just be amazing.
I'll be back.
I've never had friends where well, I don't have friends in general, but friends with like
too.
family, like similar family stages of life. And it's so hard because like we were talking about last night, like girls want besties, you know, but
yeah.
it's so hard to find friends where, you know, my family's going to come first, period.
Yeah,
So if
exactly.
you can't like mold with us and we can't mold with you, it's just not going to happen. It's not that I don't like you or love you.
Right. Well, and when you're an adult, it's like we need to get along. Our kids need to be able to get along. Our husbands have to get along, or we never get to see each other.
We literally
unless we can like
couples,
leave.
And I'll like one of the people in the group, and then he'll not like, and then you're just like, fuck, can we just find someone where we both like them and their kids aren't annoying, or if they even have kids, you know, or they live close. Like it's just so hard to find friends.
To find your people. I know it really is, and it's been hard for me too. And in Lubbock, I don't really like hang out on the regular with anyone anymore, but I think it's also like when you're starting your family or you're in that stage, I feel like I'm in a good spot now that I don't have that. I'm having to find that with my family and with Justice. Cause we've been through so much in our marriage that like, we need to be best friends. Like we need to be friends.
That's a good way to look at it.
Let's nurture and grow this. And then like when the timing's right, I feel like God will bring like location wise, like we'll find our people, you know, we'll find our community. But I think I also had before, like I just had an unhealthy, like I probably got more from my friendships than I did from my own husband and my own family. And so I needed them so badly. And then when things kind of fell apart and my whole life blew up and disintegrated after Valor, it's like, we've had to like find out. Yeah. We've had to like figure out who each other is and who we are as a family and who, you know, we are as a couple, and like we have to, and now we're all we have. And so we're in this really sweet season where I feel like we're getting to know each other on a different level, like as friends who have been through like the absolute worst, who happen to be married and have 6 kids. And we're like, well, this is cool. Like I know you better than anyone now. And like, now we can figure out what this is, you know?
Right.
And so
that's a good way to look at it.
It's a good spot.
Me and Josh haven't had any friends like that. So that's probably why I feel like we're in such a good place in the last year of our marriage, because we literally only hang out with each other. We're like, everyone else sucks. So that's why we play pool, we hang out at home. Like we just have slowly stopped. I mean, you know, we'll have parties and things like that and people over, but no one that's like, it's like, you know, it's at acquaintance level, which is great.
Right.
But really, truly,
but
Josh and my kids are, you
like
know,
ride or die.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
And then eventually you find your people that can be
That's true.
your deeper friendships and stuff. So if you ever move to where we are, wherever we end up, or if we ever move to Houston, which I'll never move here.
I know. You're like the flat,
can't do this
heat, muggy.
It's honestly beautiful in Houston, like way prettier than Lubbock, but the heat. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be cremated every summer. Not happening.
You just kind of get used to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually kind of miss it. I'm like, I want to walk outside and just start sweating.
No, thank
also,
you.
I just feel like here, a pool is a way of life.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a pool or no swimming pool, it kind of sucks. You should just leave.
Yeah. Which I've never had a pool. So that's probably like, even in Lubbock, it's a dry heat and we don't have access to a pool.
Yeah. So like Charlotte has a pool and we literally live in the pool during the summertime.
Yeah.
So
that's nice.
If you don't,
when we had a relationship with Justice's dad, Dan, we were at his house literally every day with the kids in the summer because he had a pool, he had the pool house.
Yep.
And that's where like our relationship started, our like whole story. So we loved being there. It felt like a home. And then obviously he sold his house and we don't have a relationship with him. So there goes our pool.
That.
Yeah. That's that.
And that is that episode. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on. I'm glad we could do it in person.
Me too. Love you.
I'll have all of your links in the description so everyone can go find Dawn Photo Co. and subscribe to Mikayla's Substack.
Yes.
Since you're not as Instagrammy anymore.
Yeah.
She has great writings and it's what, $5, I think, for your paid.
For the paid one. Yeah.
So I'll drop all the links and people can just wait to hear your big announcements.
Okay.
Okay. And go to her house and shop for all of her things.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Bye.
Bye.